Alright guys, welcome to this week's episode of We Are the Bonsai Supply. I am Jerome and today we're going to work on this Windswept Adenium. So this Adenium belongs to one of my customers, and this tree originally used to be an upright tree, and when I started working on the tree I never liked how the upright position looked, so I suggested that we lay it on the side and turn it into a windswept, and I think it was the right choice to make. I still believe that. So I really like this tree. It's a fairly old tree. If I had to guess, it was 20 plus years old, maybe even 30 years old. So I think windswept is one of the hardest trees designs or styles to keep up with, because once they start to regrow after you lay down the initial design, all the growth starts to grow up from the branches that you laid down, starts to grow either up or back into the wrong direction. And so if you're not on top of it, the tree can lose the design or the shape fairly easily. So for instance, if you look right here, this branch is starting to grow back into this direction, but the wind blows into this direction. So technically, this should flow into that direction. There's a couple other examples over here and up here and back here that need to be readjusted. One other thing that I want to do is I want to lay down the branches a little more, like readjust them. Like in here in the center, this back branch here, it's a little too hidden and you can't really see it from the front. Like it loses the movement in the back. And let's take a look at the back. So this is the branch that I want to readjust and have it lay down and come out a little more to this side, so that you can actually see through from the front. Because right now, one of the biggest things with this tree is that it lacks movement down here, and it is a little too clustered in here. So I'm gonna rework the branches that are here in the center. And another thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the unnecessary branches. So all the branches that have thickened up too much or that are just don't look so good, I'm gonna remove those. I'm gonna rewire some of this long and leggy stuff and try to compact it a little more. So now is actually a really good time to work on adeniums here in Florida, because the adeniums naturally go to sleep this time of the year. Well, we also kind of put them to sleep. So in the winter time, it is winter here in Florida. However, the adeniums, we kind of put them to sleep this time of the year naturally, where we just start to back off the watering. So right now we water only once a month, and we don't thoroughly water them. We just kind of give them a little splash of water, but we don't actually water until the water comes out the bottom. And when we start to do that, we usually start right around Thanksgiving. The adeniums, they start to shed all of the leaves, and that's why it has no leaves on it right now. But you could also go ahead and manually defoliate the tree as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is readjust the branches in the center, and then we'll go from there. So when I work on my adeniums, I always like to wear gloves, and that's for the zap. It does burn if you have like little cuts and little scrapes on your fingers or hands and you start to bend the trunks. The sap, it can kind of burn on your hands. However, these adeniums that we have here, they're not poisonous. There's only two really deadly poisonous adeniums, and one of them is the Caribbeana and the other one is the Multiflora. All the other ones are not poisonous, they just itch your hands. Alright, so let's get started. So one of the things that I see here that I really don't like is that this branch in here, because it is too clustered in here, and I think if I remove this branch right here and I would wire this one down that's on top, I think I can get a much better movement of the branches in here. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and cut this one out. I actually just decided that I'm gonna remove this branch. I was going to try and bend it down into here and give it some movement, but then at the same time I was able to put so much crazy movement into this area here. Well, this one is really not needed. It almost kind of blocks the view of this crazy cool movement over here. So I can just go ahead and cut this off because I know at this point I'm not going to need it. So I applied some limestone paste on these cut surfaces. So when I work on adeniums, I don't like to use cut paste. I like to use limestone paste. You can find it on our Amazon page. I'm going to put the link below. The limestone paste is what they use in Thailand for their adeniums. And let's face it, the Thai are the best when it comes to creating Adenium bonsais. And it really does work. It helps with drying out this section, preventing it to rot, and it's actually helping the process of healing a lot faster. So I think the tree came out really good. I'm really pleased with the branch placement, the crazy movement it has. So I was able to restore the story of the tree. For me, I think the most important thing when you create a bonsai is always that you create a story. So when you look at this tree, the story right away tells you, number one, that it's windswept and that there's been a lot of wind, right? So when you look at this tree, you don't think that it's just been a little breeze. You're looking at this and you're thinking hurricane. You know, I mean, this is crazy amount of movement. I'm seeing this tree, I'm seeing struggle, I'm seeing crazy hurricane winds. And so this is a story of the tree, right? That struggle, that gnarly bend movement, it makes the tree look very old. So this is a story that I like of this tree. I think it looks really cool, and once it starts to flower, it's gonna look even crazier. So now moving through the rest of the winter time, I'm not gonna do any more watering. I water like once a month, and then in springtime, once I see new growth, that's when I'm gonna go ahead and start to water once a week. This time of the year, once the desert roses fall asleep, it's actually a great time to go ahead and bend the heavier branches, because there's not as much sap flowing through these branches at that point. So you can do some really crazy movement as you see over here. So let me give you guys a 360 of this tree. I hope that you guys enjoyed this week's episode, and make sure to subscribe, make sure to like this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.